W R O W R O W R O W R O W.
Hey, Crystal, how are
Hello.
ya?
Hello, I'm great. How are you? Love the mask. It's
Oh, thank you. It's
awesome.
I'm Wu Manchu the Luchador instead of Luchador, so
Ooh, yeah.
welcome to the ROW Raised on Wrestling. And how were
Thank
you
you.
raised on wrestling, Crystal?
I remember watching the old school WWE back in the 80s with my grandpa. Um we used to watch it on Saturday afternoons. It was on a Mexican channel called Lucha Libre. But they would actually air WWE shows, so that's where I got to see, like, Hulk Hogan and all these all these cool, awesome wrestlers, so that was kinda my start to it.
Absolutely. I used to watch the documentary from Vampiro, and it was of
Mhm,
like the AAA in Mexico and how
mhm,
massive the audience was.
right.
And it's so cool that you got to see it on Lucha Libre channel.
Mhm,
And I remember watching Lucha Underground when it was around. Hopefully they bring it back, but that was so amazing how they
yeah.
did that. So,
Yeah, that would I'd never seen that before, but I heard a lot about it. That would be neat to see.
oh, absolutely. There's like old
Yeah,
clips on YouTube, so you can
sweet.
always go revisit.
Yeah,
But
definitely,
yeah,
definitely. I just remember being in awe of these, like, they were kinda larger than life characters. It's like, wow, and then I seen Hulk Hogan on, Rocky, I think it was, like, the first one, when he was Thunder Lips Hogan.
yep, yep.
And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know that guy, I watch him I've seen him wrestle before," but, yeah, it's just larger than life and just really cool to see.
Wow. I've never seen him in person, but I've
Mhm.
seen like his old manager Jimmy Hart.
Wow,
Yep, he
that
used
would
to
have been
have.
cool.
Yeah, he used to have his own bar in Daytona Beach, and I would go there and I'd ask for like a picture, and he was always so friendly to take a picture with us and
Mhm.
like regular people. And he would
Nice.
put the Intercontinental title on you and pose with it, and he'll sign an 8x10 for you.
Oh, house. That would have been so cool. I've
Absolutely.
never actually met a wrestler. I would love to, but I think I'd probably, like, die of just awe.
Oh, well,
Or maybe not.
don't go dying on us. You know we
Right,
need you
thank you.
here.
No, I won't go dying. No dying.
Indeed. And like I remember like watching Hulk Hogan on TV and on
Mhm.
Rocky and
Yes.
how he kept on saying, take your vitamins and say your prayers. And I think that's how he got through COVID. It's like, or this whole pandemic. I was like,
Right.
just swallowing like not pills, but zinc and copper and
Yeah.
vitamin E and stuff like that. So
Right, exactly. It's what we need to do just to make ourselves healthy, definitely, and keep ourselves healthy. Thank gosh
absolutely,
I thank gosh I haven't never had it, never come into contact with it, but and I'm
same
hoping to
here.
stay that way, you know.
Absolutely, and health is
Yeah.
wealth. It really
Mhm.
is. Yep,
Exactly.
yep.
Got to be healthy to go attend those shows.
Absolutely. Speaking of going to shows, which WWE shows did you go to?
I I went to my first live event in 2014. It was in Colorado Springs at the World Arena, and that was, of course I went to the one in 1980s when I was a little kid. That's where I first saw Hulk Hogan and Andre, and Macho Man was there. So was Jake the Snake, and that was really cool. Jake the Snake brought his snake actually. And then the one that we went to in 2014, that was, we got to see Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. I remember Seth, or no, Kevin Owens just totally decked Seth Rollins with the microphone right in the face.
Oh,
That was nasty, but it was just neat to see it. And then in 2018, my cousin and I actually got to go to Raw,
wow.
and that was a lot of fun. Just, I wasn't anywhere near the front of the ring, so you couldn't even see me on TV, but just to know I was there was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, you got to see Andre the Giant. The
Mhm.
tallest wrestler I got to see was Big Show. Well, Paul White now, and
Yeah.
was in he was wrestling Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar at Vendetta at the old Pepsi
Wow.
Center.
Holy cow, that ought to been a good one.
Oh yeah, there's like
That
John Cena versus
Mhm.
Undertaker. It was awesome too.
Wow. I when we went to Raw, that was when they had the reunion of the Shield. And that
Oh,
was pretty fun, you know, just to hear the Shield's music coming on. It's like, where are they? And they would come down, you know, through the audience into the stage, or I'm sorry, onto the ring, but you just didn't know where they were coming from, and it was
uh-huh.
just pretty cool. Of course, they weren't anywhere near me either, but you know that it was still amazing to see it.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
exciting. And
Mhm.
now John Moxley's in AEW, and
Yeah.
Seth and Roman are on the WWE. But the good thing is like they're
Right.
still pals. No matter what side they're on, they're still pals. So
Right, exactly, which I think that's great. Even though, you know, they go to different promotions, they can still be friends with people from, you know, from other promotions, which is I think that's just really cool,
yeah,
you
that's
know.
why I love like the whole Forbidden Door thing. It's like they can just that whole aspect of like everyone can come into like this whole universe and like how
Mhm.
Mickey James was able to participate in the Royal Rumble even though she was with Impact,
Right, and
and
that was pretty cool. I don't think she was in the Rumble for that long, but it was just still neat to see her, you know.
absolutely,
Yeah,
indeed,
and I she's actually one of the ones that I did get to see at Raw. She wasn't wrestling, but she was escorting the Bellas, you know, to the ring, and that was pretty fun too.
awesome.
You
It's
know.
yeah, he's with you bringing back Jake the Snake Roberts. It's like he's now the manager to the Murder Hawk on
Mhm.
AEW now, and so it's so great that DDP helped him get back on his feet and all that good
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
I've been watching or I had been watching those, documentaries that they were doing, I believe it was on A&E channel, and it was just so neat just to hear the and see the history of stuff that I didn't even know, you know, and I had no idea that Jake the Snake was going through all these issues, but, you know, I'm glad to see he's, you know, he's getting better for himself.
indeed, and for him
Yeah.
to like have like the snakes bite him so he can be immune to all the venom is just
Right.
wowzers. It's really
I guess it's what they do for their fans.
absolutely. He
Oh my
really
god.
went all in on that character. So
Mhm. Yeah, and it was just amazing, and then I'm learning about wrestlers that I really had no clue about their history, and I've just always heard about it, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool just to see them actually talking about it or people that knew them talking about it, so it gives me a little bit more insight. I I stopped watching wrestling for some stupid reason about in the 90s for about 10 years, and then I, started watching it back again about 10 years ago, and there's still so much I need to learn.
it's always
Mhm.
evolving, and so that's what the
Right.
best part is. Even though like there was like you know WWE had a chokehold on it for 20 years, it's like it's
Mhm.
so great to see that there's more promotions popping up again and
Right.
causing that healthy competition
Mhm.
and
Right.
everyone's like it's just what we needed. It reminds me of
Right.
the whole WCW versus WWF days back in the day.
Mhm. Right. And see, at that time, you know, when I was a little kid watching the WWE, I didn't really know about other promotions, so I so I didn't know about, like, ECW, you know, all these other promotions. I didn't know about Ric Flair, all these other all these other guys, Terry Funk. But just coming back into it about 10 years ago, I'm starting to learn a lot, and it's just really cool. I like it.
Indeed, you and I were in the
Mhm.
same boat because, like, when I was growing up in the '80s, uh, I grew up on WWF too,
Mhm.
and watching like Ultimate Warrior and the or
Right.
like Legion of Doom and stuff, and then as I got older, like ECW popped in and
Mhm.
WCW popped in for me, and even though WCW's been around for a long time and ECW too, and it's just like it was cool to see like different options and like how
Mhm.
everything was like different from each other for like the longest.
Right. And, I recently, became friends with a guy who, I met him for coffee it's about 5 or 6 months ago. He was telling me that he must have, like, about 3,000 wrestling videos, you know, like WWE, ECW, A&E, all this stuff, and I'm like, "Oh my god, you're like a volcano of wrestling information," you know, and he says, "Yeah, oh yeah, you name the match, I've seen it," you know? Like, holy
Wow.
cow, that's crazy, you know? And here I am, like, I guess I'm just a casual fan compared to him, but, you know? But
Same
I
here.
yeah.
I just roll with the
Mhm.
punches, like,
Right.
it's like, but
Exactly.
a lot of my pals, like, they're like a little mini Tony Khan, because like Tony Khan knows the date, the time, the year, the everything, and it's
Yeah.
like I have some buddies that are like that. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, I learned something new through you, and I was
Right.
like that.
Exactly. And I don't know, like they're like, "Oh, do you remember the match of 1985?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah,
But maybe I'll watch a clip of it now, but and and
indeed.
but it's just neat to learn all of this different information that I didn't even know and discover now they're old school wrestlers, but I didn't know about them at the time. You know?
Most definitely.
Yeah. I
And we have a
learned a lot of
viewer in
stuff
the
on
audience.
Wikipedia.
Oh yeah, it's definitely that's like sometimes it's like anybody can edit it, but like if there's like
Mhm.
some truth to them, then it's like watching those metal guys or those musicians get interviewed about the Wikipedia, whether it's fact or fiction,
Right.
and then they like break the myth and tell which one's the truth and stuff. It's
Mhm.
pretty awesome to watch those on YouTube.
Right, exactly.
And speaking of rock shows, you're gonna go see Fozzy coming up,
Mhm.
and Chris Jericho is the lead singer. Are you excited?
I'm more than excited. I'm like I'm already planning, okay, we're gonna get there early. We're gonna try to get to the front of the stage so I could be like right in front of him. I couldn't get a meet and greet though, but that's okay.
Indeed.
That
The best ways to go, like, for those is, like, if they go to, like, horror conventions or comic book conventions and they are
yes.
as guests, do
Mhm.
those because 'cause they're much cheaper than, like, regular meet and greets at the shows.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, my friend, she just got to meet Mick Foley a couple weeks ago.
awesome.
Yeah, he was doing, I guess he was doing a promotion out at, Looney's Comedy Club in Colorado Springs. I still wanted to go, but I was working, of course, and couldn't take the day off. But
Yeah,
she got to pose with him and stuff like that, and I thought that would have just been mind-blowing to see or to even experience it.
absolutely. I
So
saw Mick Foley at a horror convention called
mhm,
Spooky Empire, and he didn't even need a handler or nothing. He just was, like, walking to his own table by himself, doing photo ops by himself and everything,
nice.
but I didn't get to say hi to him because he was he has a busy schedule. But just to see him
Mhm.
like in like my circle or like my vision, it was just awesome.
Right, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet I probably wouldn't even know what to say. I'd think I'd freeze up.
and,
You know?
and it's so cool that they're all doing like comedy clubs now, like him and Jake the Snake, and just
Mhm.
sharing stories along the road. And I think Dolph Ziggler is doing some stand up too. So
Yeah, I'd like to go see him. That he'd be fun. You know?
indeed. And my buddy, his name's Gene. We talked earlier, like at a previous episode, and he used to work in for TNA,
Mhm,
and he had some like a really cool Mick Foley story, and how and some Kurt Angle stories and Jeff Hardy stories, and it's just like,
wow.
man, this is so neat because he like talk
Mhm,
to someone that was in the whole thing and get to be so close to him and
right.
all that stuff. It's like it's neat, and I'm
Mhm,
so glad that you commented on my posts on Facebook because
mhm,
like that's how I reached out to like my guests first, and I wanted to bring the fans in first, and then hopefully it'll branch out to more. I'll interview more wrestlers like Buff Bagwell and stuff. That was like a
mhm,
totally insane thing.
right.
If I didn't expect to sit like right by him and talk to him for a little while, so that was neat.
Sweet. That would have been so cool.
Absolutely. So which other when you saw Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake and Andre, and where was that at?
That was at the Colorado State Fair in the grandstand,
Oh wow.
right in the middle of the afternoon, super hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I, remember, King Kong Bundy was there, the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, um, it w and I wasn't even 10 years old when I saw that, but it was just so cool to see these guys that I had seen on TV. Here they were like, I was in the same space as them, which was just really neat,
Wow.
and then, when we saw Andre the Giant come up, it was like, "Whoa, he is huge." You know?
Indeed. Oh my goodness, when you brought up Andre the Giant, it took me
Mhm,
back to the time that I did my very first comedy show at the downtown bar.
mhm,
And Michael Sword was on the bill, on the panel with like
mhm,
John Brown and Charlie McMullen and Sean Beeman.
mhm,
And my old friend James, who was the lead singer of a band that I once managed.
Mhm.
And so like and my friend Patrick Butkovich, he was on the bill too. But I compared each person to a wrestler because, like I
Mhm.
said, all right, Charlie and John are the natural disasters,
Mhm.
and then there was like James, like the day the Ultimate Warrior died,
Mhm.
and then Patrick was the Brooklyn Brawler, and Mike Sword was King Kong Bundy.
How funny. That's crazy.
Yep. And I said Sean was like Hulk Hogan before the steroids, because he had the mustache back then too. So.
Oh, how funny. Yeah, yesterday it was really funny. I went to this place in Colorado Springs. I was visiting a friend, and I went to this place called Rocket Fizz. It's like a candy shop, and I'm a big Kiss fan. And I heard that they sold Kiss Cola. So I'm like, well, I went to that store specifically for Kiss Cola, and they said, well, no, we're out of it. But I was looking around the store and I saw Rowdy Roddy Piper soda. And
That's
it was,
awesome.
I was like, okay, you don't have to Kiss Cola, but I'm buying this, and it was from They Live, and it says all out of bubblegum soda,
Oh, it's so cool.
right? And somebody had said, "Don't drink it," but I had already opened it up and drank it because I wanted to taste it, but tastes just like bubble gum, by the way.
And did
But
you
I
buy an extra? Did you buy an extra one just to have as a souvenir?
I didn't, but I'm gonna go back and
Oh,
get and buy like another one just so I can have it. But I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have drank it, but I was just so excited to see what it tasted like, and it does taste like bubble gum, but they do have it at Rocket Fizz.
dang. Well,
Yeah.
there's a Rocket Fizz in Daytona Beach, so I'll definitely have
Mhm.
to go there and buy
Yeah.
some Rowdy Piper soda.
Yeah, go check it out. I had to buy it just for the novelty and the kitsch of it.
Absolutely.
A lot of fun, but who knows? Maybe they'll get other wrestlers too. I don't know, but that was the only one that I saw there.
Mhm.
As far as wrestling, there was all kinds of other stuff.
Absolutely,
Oh,
man.
and
I
speaking
God
of
rest.
him,
Oh,
can you see it
awesome.
all right?
Yep, yep.
My
So,
my aunt had these they're the little thumb wrestlers,
uh-huh.
and they were actually, let's see if we can see this one, sorry.
Oh,
They were actually my cousins, and she had them in a box and she dug them out. She found them a few years ago, and she's like, "Do you know who these guys are?" Yes. And she's like, "Do you want them?" Yes. I'm like, they're any kind of wrestlers, just give them to me. So they're here on my desk, keeping me company while I work.
awesome. So
Yeah.
cool. Let them tag each other in and help them type on the keyboard.
Right. Just tag in here, guys. Come on, I need some help. Yeah. I forgot I had those guys. Sorry. Anyway, sorry.
That is so neat. Like my previous guest, Joey, he took out he's running a sweepstakes or going on, like he brought this Undertaker slash Bret Hart like combo from
Mhm.
Walmart, and he goes, whoever like tags a
Cool.
friend on his page, which is like
Mhm.
Joey Loves Wrestling or something on Facebook, I'll send you the link.
Right.
Tag three friends, enter the contest, whoever wins gets this prize. So it's unopened too. So
Nice.
yeah, man.
Nice.
And God rest Roddy's soul and
Mhm.
and I when you mentioned They Live, it took me back to the guy that made it, which was John Carpenter.
Mhm.
And I had this crazy run-in with John Carpenter at the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles, and they were showing Big Trouble in Little China, and they had this Q&A session at the end of it with the guy that played Rain from the movie too.
Mhm.
And so I had my laser disc, which was the Big Trouble in Little China, the laser disc, and I had them both autographed. And I chased after him, and that inspired Stress Fest that took place
Mhm.
at Clive's place. Because I said, hey, I just want to show my short films and do a Q&A, and I put it on Facebook, and the old vice
Mhm.
president got mad, and then an old employee said, we'll call this Stress Fest, and then
Mhm.
it took a 4 year break, and I didn't expect it to come back,
Mhm.
and it did come back, and then now we have Stress Fest in Pueblo. So that's the origin story of how John
Yeah.
Carpenter went to Clive to Stress Fest to LA
Nice.
to Pueblo. So and now to Daytona Beach.
I
So
can't wait for Srathfest this summer. Srathfest is so fun.
oh yeah, I can't either. We're going on
Mhm.
9 years. Can you believe it?
Really.
Yeah,
I
and
had,
like
I didn't get to go last year, but I think I went, like, the year before that, and that was so much fun.
absolutely.
Mhm,
And we were talking about the indies and how like we should support the indies wrestling scene in Colorado Springs when you get the chance to, and
mhm.
now it's like a platform for like indie musicians and comics and artists and stuff. It's like and supporting the Grindhouse Cafe,
Yes.
July 15th to the 19th, and for
Mhm.
them to help have us there is just so awesome.
Yes, exactly, I love the Grindhouse.
Indeed, I
That
love
is
the
so fun.
Grindhouse too. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
and
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
will
happy.
I'll
Maybe one
definitely
year,
have to check out Fest again. I'm excited for the summer.
absolutely. And now that music and concerts are back again, it's gonna be like it'll be just like a whole family reunion, you know. So
Mhm. Exactly.
you like call it family reunion because the
A
bands,
family reunion, yep.
or family reunions because the fans are showing up too. So it's either way. I'll
Right.
just call it whichever one everyone wants to use. So
Right, exactly. That's gonna be so fun. I can't
yeah,
wait, definitely.
you know that'd be really neat is if we like set up like a ring in the back when the bands are
Mhm.
playing. That'd
Oh,
be so
that would be fun. I would
indeed.
definitely go watch that, definitely. That sounds
Man.
fun.
One day I'll reach out to like my buddy that used to wrestle in Pub West and
Mhm.
see if they still do it and how much the cost would be, or if they can just do the door deal and they can have the
Yeah.
door or something.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and I don't know what started the conversation, but he actually met Otis from WWE. He used to
Oh,
go to school here at CSU Pueblo, and
yeah.
yeah, and apparently he used to work at a bar here in town while he was in school, kind of like not bartending, bouncing.
Indeed, it's that bar that's right by Andre Murphy.
Is it
Um,
is it um is it the Riverside? Is that it?
no, it's the one across the highway from it.
Okay.
Yep, there's like Lang's Liquor, and then there's
Mhm.
that bar. Like,
Right.
yep,
And
yep.
when he told me that, I'm like, "What?" I had no clue. Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't know
Yeah.
either. My buddy Nate Baptist
Mhm.
told me about that because he would frequent that bar, and
Mhm.
then Otis would be there just bouncing, and I'm like, this is so cool. I wish I would have
Yeah.
known too.
Yeah, me too, and, I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, I didn't even know really any wrestlers knew about Pueblo, unless they happened to be performing here, but other
That's
than
for
that, I'm like,
sure.
"One worked here." "What? You crazy? Are you serious? That's crazy."
Gosh,
You know?
I miss his old character. Like now he's so
Mhm.
serious. Like
Yeah. I mean, I like his new character now too, but I think the other one was I don't know. I think he had a lot more fun with the old character,
mhm,
and maybe he's having fun with this character too, I don't know, but I miss the old character.
yeah, he
So
was so
maybe
lovable.
yeah, maybe there'll be a heel turn, who knows?
Absolutely, I hope
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, but either
Man,
either way, I'm just whenever I get a chance to see them, I'm happy no matter who it is,
indeed.
you know?
Same here. I just love when WWE bought out ECW and they showed up at the Colorado State Fair.
Mhm.
I went to that and that's how like that post happened and I'm
Mhm.
like, man, for them just to see like my old ECW heroes, like those
Right.
matches were just insane.
I bet. I bet. I
Well,
bet.
they were more since WWE bought them out. It was more mellow and chill. But like before, when it was ECW, then that was like,
Mhm.
holy crap! They can't believe they put their body through all this stuff.
I when I was watching the biographies a couple of months ago, there was this one I don't remember his name, but I think his name was Nick something or other. But he was like one of the extreme wrestlers where, they would just throw like, they would just smash like light bulbs on your face and all that. And and it was just so bloody. It actually kind of just watching, whatever they were film clips they were showing, it actually kind of turned my stomach. I'm like, oh, I kind of had to turn that one off, you know.
Oh,
And then I saw him show up at AEW and he was fighting Moxley, and he took well, no, was it Moxley? No, it was Chris Jericho, and he actually took a pizza cutter to his face. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
But maybe it was a safe. They maybe had like a safety thing on it. I don't know, but it just looked nasty. you
it's,
know,
it's like give that back to the Ninja Turtles. You don't bring that
right?
into the ring.
Exactly. Exactly, but that one was a crazy match, but I had to kinda stop watching the documentary and come back and watch it again because it just kinda turned my stomach a little bit. I was just so surprised at how bloody it was, but still it was interesting to learn about that guy too,
Yep. I believe
because
it
that
was
was somebody I didn't know. Mhm.
Nick Gage. I think it was.
Yes, that's who
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. I
That's
remember
who it
like
was.
did you get to the part about gosh, what's his name? David Arquette and his match with him?
I think so. That
Yeah.
and then I didn't know the history about David Arquette too.
Yeah. He
I'm
was
like,
in
"That's
WCW for
funny."
a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is funny. Um, I read somebody showed up at WrestleMania one time and was actually part of a tag team with the ladies, and it was Snooki from, like, Jersey Shore. I'm like, "Oh, that's funny."
Yep. They always have that, like whoever's like hot in the pop
Mhm.
culture moment, they put them on. Like recently, like Logan Paul was on the
Y
last
yeah.
WrestleMania, and
I think he actually did pretty decent, you know?
yeah,
Didn't do too bad, and Bad Bunny last year, with, Damian Priest, he did pretty good,
yep. And the
but
Jackass guys for this year too.
that was funny. That was actually really funny.
Yep.
I mean, I
I
wasn't a big Jackass fan, but, that was all it was just funny to see it.
absolutely. I remember when I was like when Johnny Knoxville was in the video games for SmackDown too. I think one of the video games for SmackDown, and I was him, and they put him in a shopping cart and as his entrance, and he rode down the ramp and like crashed into the ring.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I remember Sammy, and, I mean, they had Sami Zayn just doing all these silly, crazy things, but he's actually a really good wrestler.
Indeed.
Yeah, I remember when we saw him in Colorado Springs at the live show, he must have defeated Jinder Mahal, like, in 5 minutes, you know?
Wow.
And Jinder Mahal is actually I think he's gotten better,
Yep.
but, I mean, he just bam, he was out. I'm like, "Oh, is the didn't the match just start?" 5 minutes later, it's over, but yeah, but Sami Zayn is actually pretty good.
Indeed. And Ginger is so big too,
Yeah.
and like Sam, my old friend showed me this Sami Zayn mashup with the Taylor Swift song, and I'm like, that goes so perfectly well. I'll have to send that to you too.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh man, and yeah, David Arquette won the old WCW championship once,
Mhm.
and like
Nice.
and there's the movie Ready to Rumble's on YouTube, and I got to watch it for
Mhm.
free. And it's just like the old WCW wrestlers, like Macho Man was in there and everything. It's just
Oh, wow.
definitely check that out. It's a
Yeah.
cheesy movie, but it's totally worth watching. So it's like you can reminisce about the good old times and everything.
Yeah, somebody had brought up, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling cartoon. Did you ever
Uh-huh.
used to watch that?
I've heard about it, but I have yet to see it.
Oh, yeah, I
So
used to watch it every Saturday. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And then I used to have this, Hulk Hogan T-shirt. It was one of those ones where it was just made with an iron-on transfer, but I wish I woulda saved that thing, because I loved it. And it was, like, glittery and all that, but I think we sold it at a garage sale or either that or gave it away for free or whatever, but it's like, why didn't I save stuff like that I had?
indeed, for sure.
Mhm.
And the things that you want to keep, and then like a couple years later, it's like, oh, I can't believe I like, let that one go.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, well, I couldn't even like yesterday I couldn't even believe that I didn't even think about buying two Rowdy Piper sodas, but it's all right. I know where the place is. I can go back and get another one
Yeah.
or buy a six pack, whatever.
Yeah,
But
if I do find
mhm.
some in Daytona Beach, I'll just because I go there every Wednesday because of
Mhm.
stand up. If I
Yeah.
find one or two or something, I'll ship one to you, or just if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Just
Yeah, let me know. pay for it.
Cool. I'll save you the trip. So yeah,
Thank you.
indeed. And if they have the Kiss one, I'll buy one for you too. So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I got to see Kiss one time at an aftershock festival in California.
Mhm.
I think it was in Pomona, and it was like the most wildest lineup. It was like them and Eminem and
Oh,
like
wow.
Big Boy from Outkast. It's just like the most like Blink-182 was the next day. It was just like the most random like thing ever, and like seeing Kiss perform live was just amazing. Like
Yeah.
fireworks going off and
Oh,
everything. It was just
oh,
awesome.
definitely. Yeah, I would like to go, if they ever come back to Colorado for their, because 'cause they're on their last tour, I would definitely love to go.
Yep. And there's so many final tours for Kiss. It's
Right.
just
Yeah, I had thought I had went to the final tour when a couple of years ago. Nope, I didn't, apparently. But, I mean, if I never get to see them again, I mean, that's okay. I know I've seen them about 4 or 5 times and always great, but, I'm definitely looking forward to go to whenever the next WWE show is or AEW or whatever.
and it's like they remind me of like pro wrestlers too because of the face
Mhm.
paints and everything like
Right.
Sting and everyone like Vampiro and stuff. It's like
Mhm.
and they're like so out of this world characters, on like platform boots and like blood coming out of their mouths, like
Right.
Gene Simmons and everything.
And I remember there was a Gene Simmons character wrestler, I think it was for the WWE several years ago. I didn't ever get to see him, wrestle on TV because I don't think it even lasted that long. But I remember hearing about it. I'm like, "That's pretty cool."
That is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Oh man, when uh, I I used to sell cell phones over in Los Angeles, and one of Eric Singer, Kiss's drummer, was one of my clients.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I saw him
Holy cow.
without his paint and everything, and he goes, "Hey, I'm going on tour, and I'm like, can you help me like set up the best deal on my phone and all that stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll set up the right features and everything." And he'd always
Right.
ask for me to help him out, and it was like the coolest thing.
Nice.
Yep, and he was such a
Nice.
nice guy, but like the since he's a drum and everything, um, he would he would just tell me hey, I can hardly hear anything.
Mhm.
Can you because I'm a drummer and the pirates are going off and I can you speak louder because I'm a quiet person. So
Right. Wow.
indeed, good
Neat,
stuff.
neat, neat. Yeah, definitely.
And
Definitely.
we talk about concerts and shows all the time, and like you know, I ran into some of the Jackass guys backstage one time. Speaking of people with like face paints, I went to the Halloween show of the Misfits and Danzig and Sam Hain. They called it the Danzig Legacy Show,
Right.
and I took Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw remake with me to the
Mhm.
show. Uh, it was like the most. It was he was also one of my clients at the cell phone store too. His name is Andrew Bernard. Uh,
Nice.
and I remember like his battery was dying. It kept on acting up. And I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
if you want, just go to the same model on the wall, pop the battery out, and put that one in there and exchange it out, so you don't have to wait for the battery to come in. And then
Wow.
he did, and then he left. And you're not supposed to do that, but I said, just do it. I won't say nothing.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly. How funny.
Yep. And so I took him there, and like the Jackass guys were back there with Typo Negative and like Puddle of Mud and everything, and it was just a big old party backstage. And I'm like, this is so neat. And I was dressed like this, and he
Mhm.
goes, if anyone messes with you, I got your back. And he was like, he stole somebody's seat, and it was just fantastic.
Nice. It's so
So
cool.
here's some of your more favorite concert memories.
Oh, there's been a lot. M just, my first, this is gonna really date me, but my first concert that I actually went to was the Miami Sound Machine.
Oh, with
Do you
Gloria
remember them?
Estefan.
Yeah, with Gloria Estefan? Yep.
That's so cool.
Mhm. And then, but I've seen, that was, like, the first major one that I went to, but it's been varied. I've seen, like, Neil Diamond and Eddie Money, Aerosmith, Metallica, Slipknot, Fozzy, of course, Kiss, it's just I like a varied different types of music. Not really country or rap, but, you know, other than that, like, a lot of different types of music, and I have pretty much a lot of fun at every single concert, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Um,
gonna go see Aerosmith in October, so I'm excited about that in Vegas.
wow, that's so neat.
Yeah,
Gosh,
really excited about that.
remember their album Pump with
Mhm.
the milk, the
Mm,
cow with
right.
the tear sitting on the udder. It was fantastic.
I think that was, like, the first one that I had,
Oh,
and then just getting different ones throughout the years, but that was, like, my first Aerosmith album, but yeah, I can't wait to see that, and it's like, with me, rock and wrestling, I love it.
and dude, which is a perfect combo for
Mhm.
Fozzy and stuff. It's like
Right.
he's, when they sing Judas, the crowd sings Judas for him. It's just amazing.
Yes. And I was like, I would love to be part of that crowd that just sang Judas to him as he was walking towards the ring. That's amazing.
Heck yeah.
You
I
know?
bet you can't wait to sing along with him at Sunshine.
Oh, yeah, and I did the last time too, and I got a video of them doing Judas, that when they opened with that song back in 2019, and so I'm like, "I'm gonna get it again," even though I already have them recorded, I'm still gonna record it again. You know?
Absolutely. That's so neat. It's always about those memories,
Mhm.
and for you to be a diehard fan of Aerosmith to go all the way to Las Vegas to go see him is pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Right, exactly, and it's like, I can't wait to see I've already seen Raw, I'd love to see a SmackDown, my cousin and I got when we first got to Raw, nobody was hardly in the arena, so we got to take a picture with the ring right behind us, and it's like, I want the SmackDown ring behind us next. You know, um, the all the shows that I've seen, they've kind of been Raw based. I've never seen SmackDown based shows, but, it'd be pretty fun to see. Even another Raw again, it doesn't matter to me, I'll go,
Indeed.
you
You're like
know?
the opposite of me because like when Vendetta came, it was a SmackDown pay-per-view, and
Right?
I have yet to see a Raw show, so it's.
Mhm.
But like the Raw shows are like 3 hours long, though. I'm like, oh, good gravy.
They are long. They are long. I would love to see a WrestleMania. I would like to see any type of pay-per-view though, you
Oh,
know?
sure.
I mean, doesn't I would love to see WrestleMania, Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank. And if we could just see any type of pay-per-view, that'd be amazing, you know?
Absolutely.
I was happy that I got to finally see Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the last year and Randy Orton, that was a lot of fun.
Indeed, that's so neat. Like, and Rey Mysterio's been in the game forever,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
he brought Dominic with him, so that was really cool.
he still looks like still flies the same after all
Yeah.
these years. It's amazing what he does. It's like he
Yeah.
reminds me of like Rob Van Dam. Like they can be like old and old and old, but they just took
Mhm.
care of their bodies and were
Oh,
more flexible and everything, and they could last for days. Like treating your
definitely.
car, like getting regular oil changes and watch it go
Mhm.
like
They just keep
hundreds and thousands of miles.
Yeah, they just keep their bodies tuned up, which is amazing. And I was just surprised to find out that I'm actually older than Rey Mysterio. I'm like, "What?"
Ooh,
Like by a year or 2, but I'm like, "Well, that's okay." And I'm like, "He looks like that, and I'm not, I'm not athletic at all." But
indeed.
people, I remember somebody asked me like, "Well, why don't you be a wrestler? You can be like that girl China." And I'm like, "Not athletic." You know, I
Same
never
here.
I never
I
played basketball, nothing like that. Never interested me.
I'm with you on that one. I'm like,
Mhm.
if it's required to get a credit or something in high school, just sign me
Okay.
up. But I'm not gonna
Yeah,
do anything else. So I'm just gonna be a gym class hero, and that's all they're gonna get out of me. So
right. Exactly. I didn't gym wasn't my favorite subject, so or, my favorite thing to do at all.
indeed, it was just an
And
easy way to, you know,
right,
that's it. Yeah,
exactly. They were always, the coaches in high school were always after me to play basketball because of my height, and I'm like, "Nope. Don't wanna do it."
indeed. I'm glad they never came after me for nothing. I'm like, just put me as a manager for the basketball team. That's all I'm
Well,
doing.
yeah, I mean, I could have done that, but it was just they were like, "Well, you're so tall, you'd be a good basketball player." I don't want to.
Right? It's like I used to work with this lady that worked at that hardware store in Pueblo with me, and she was like
Mhm,
super tall too. And it's like
mhm.
in her defense, she would go like, "Hey, well, how would you like it if I asked you to go play mini golf?"
Right. Exactly, and it's like, if we don't wanna do it, we ain't gonna do it. Just leave us alone, you know? I
Absolutely.
I was just like the quiet one in high school, just let me get through high school, let me study, and then let me do what I do, and don't ask me.
Absolutely. Now I know why you love like Hell Circus and 7 Days Lost because they remind us of a little kiss, and
Mhm.
it's so
Right,
awesome.
exactly, and, I remember the first time I met, Mike Trejo. I actually met him, I purchased tickets, and I met him at independent records to buy them, and he was just, like, the coolest guy ever, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, we must have talked, like before he even handed me the tickets, I think we must have talked for, like, an hour, you know? And he was so cool to talk to, and just to see 7 Days Lost perform on stage, it's amazing. They are so good. I actually first saw them when they opened for Corn at the Colorado State Fair.
yeah. I was gonna bring that up, and I'm glad you
Yes.
did. Yeah,
I mean, the second that they were done playing, I was like an instant fan. It's like,
indeed,
wow, these guys, and I'm like, how did I never hear of these guys, But they were so cool. And then,
absolutely.
then um I started doing stuff with Burns Like Hell, and loved those guys, still do.
Absolutely. I'm so
Yeah.
glad like Burns Like Hell and Hell Circus are going to be on the bill this year, and well, not Burns Like Hell, but MD, and like
Mhm.
the other, like when they branched off, like Calling
Right.
the Fall, like with Greasy
Right.
D,
Mhm.
and with Randy leaving us,
I know. That
I have an old interview with him on the podcast I did called Pablo's Independent Multimedia Podcast.
I've seen that one. I
Yeah,
love that one, you know?
awesome.
I
And it's
I
a
mi
long name. It's a
miss
long
that
name.
guy.
I miss it too. It's a long name, but if you look at the acronym, it's pimp.
Mhm.
So
That's funny. Yeah, I know they played MD played a show this weekend. I couldn't go, but it was a lot of fun though. Being associated with Burns Like Hell was great, you know.
yeah, most
So,
definitely. And I'm glad that you're keeping the music alive and stuff like that. And
mhm,
and Scrotus is going to be there too. So it's going to be a back to back for Scrotus and Calling the Fall for Greasy D
nice.
and Jason and stuff. And it's going to be so much fun. And
Yeah, I hope I can go. I miss all those guys,
absolutely, I'm
definitely.
quite fortunate to bring that together and like the fans from. And I noticed like it's like almost every like zip code is represented from 81001 to 81008. It's like
Mhm.
all there and meeting in the central
Nice.
location that is the Grindhouse. It's just
Right.
awesome.
Right now, they I'm always get invited to shows, but with my work schedule, it's kind of hard. But I think now that it's getting to be the summertime and my work schedule's changing, so I'm excited to go see a lot more shows and support more local bands and stuff too. And maybe now wrestling promotions.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
indeed. So yeah, I made sure that we're gonna just start just having shows at like toward like the nighttime because like the
Mhm.
July sun is just so scorching. It's like reminds me of
Yeah.
like the the '80s wrestling event that you went to when we
Mhm.
were. It's just it doesn't change. Like it's just so
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting in the grandstand drinking all kinds of water and pop, and it was like so hot, but so fun. I think I probably got sunburned too that day, but that was okay. I didn't care.
Yeah. As
It
long
was,
as it wasn't like
yeah.
one of the boys firing tables, you'll be totally fine. So.
Right, exactly. Oh, I finally got to see somebody get thrown through a table. When
Oh,
I was there, I saw the Shield throw Baron Corbin through a table.
indeed.
Back in 2018. It was after Raw, so after Raw went off the air, they were still going, and the guys had actually made Baron Corbin sing "I'm a Little Teapot." So he was doing that right in the middle of the ring, and then they slammed him through the table, so that was a lot of fun.
It's the stuff that they don't show you on
Yeah.
air is the
Mhm.
best. Ugh,
Well, I remember also that show that the Bellas were actually tag teaming with Natalia, and then they were against the Riot Squad. And my cousin and I were wondering, we were sitting so up high, we couldn't see Liv Morgan in the ring. And we were like, well, where is she? Where'd she go? Didn't know what happened. Well, I guess Bree had actually kicked her in the face and knocked her out by accident, but it
Oh,
really gave her a concussion. And so I was actually because I had recorded Raw, so I was watching it back the next day, and I'm like, oh, well, that's what happened. Being so far up, you can't really see what was happening, down in the ring, but she, I guess, botched a move and, knocked Liv out for it, you know. So that was
absolutely.
crazy. And then Liv wasn't on TV for like several months because she had a concussion.
And
But
those botches are scary, and like the
yeah.
CTE scans and everything, and
Hmm.
and it takes a toll on wrestlers and it's
Yeah.
sports, and we already know what happened, like, with the whole Chris Benoit thing, and he had
Hmm.
so many concussions from those flying headbutts. It's like, take it easy on yourself.
Right.
We don't, like, as fans, we don't need this, like, I
Right.
know it's,
Exactly.
you want us to get riled up, but take it easy on yourself.
Exactly. So be careful, do it right. Or when Owen Hart, you know, died in the ring, basically.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's crazy, but I guess, I mean, I know it does happen. It's sad, but oh well, I guess they do what they do and they love what they do, and it's all to entertain us, definitely. But hopefully, no, hopefully nothing bad ever happens to anybody else in the ring. I mean, yeah, I know they can get hurt and stuff, and I feel bad when that happens, but I, don't want anybody to die for it either.
indeed. Like when
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar did that moonsault and his neck was like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't believe he made it out alive out of that thing. It's just
Mhm.
brutal.
It's
Oh
crazy.
man, wrestling is real. It's
Mhm. Oh
like
yeah.
like Mr. Anderson, I think from TNA during his time said on his shirt, like, pro wrestling is real and people are fake,
Right.
and it's so true. It's like, I'm a firm believer that this is like, people take little bumps,
Mhm.
and
Right.
just, and Sting now, like, he's in his 60s, he still flies off like balconies and
I
stuff.
know it's insane. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." You know? I remember that when we first, went to the live show, you can actually, hear them, like, falling on the ring and it or on the mat, and it's loud, it
Yeah,
surprised me how loud it was, and my cousin was 'cause, he actually works with, some of the MMA fighters here in Pueblo. I guess he used to, like, lock him in the cage, you know? And he says, "Yeah, well, there's this, that, and the other thing under the mat, so when they fall, it it sounds really loud." I'm like, "That's crazy." You know? Yeah, you would get
absolutely.
bumps and bruises just being slammed onto the mat or thrown into the ropes and
Speaking of mats,
yeah.
my very first guest, Minnie, went to the Sausage Castle,
Mhm.
and it's one of the BC's brothers, like, pretty much castle out in Florida, and he performed stand up there, and
Mhm.
uh, he ends up finding there's the old WrestleMania 3 ring there where Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant on it.
Wow.
Yep, and he
Oh, can
said
you
he
imagine that?
it's insane. He goes in, and it still smells like they haven't washed it or
Smelly, yuck. Yeah,
and he
um,
goes, he said he was on it, and he goes how hard it was for being in
mhm.
the 80s, and like, I'm so glad there's more cushion for it now. It's
Right,
like,
exactly. I was watching, it was, I can't remember, what program it was, but when they were trying to it was last year when maybe it was on AEW too, when they were trying to locate all the old WWE memorabilia. Were you watching those?
oh yeah, and
Yeah,
A&E, yeah,
right, and it was really cool. They were trying to find, like, the Undertaker's urn, like, the first one, not all the replicas that came after that, or the first, the first WWE ring, different things like that, Kane's mask. That
yeah,
was
I saw
actually
that one.
really cool. Like, wow. I mean, and I think they were trying to find, like, Ric Flair's robe that he wore, when he won, like, the first championship or something like that. I'm like, wow, and those things go for, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And then
Absolutely.
there's diehard fans that that have it and they don't want to give it up. you know.
And those robes are so fancy, like from like Charlotte Flair's robe to
Mhm.
like Robert Roode's,
Right.
and like Ravishing Rick Rude, and
Mhm.
it's just so neat that you can just wear a robe to the ring and no one will question you. You
Right,
know,
exactly. I would and they were showing like the WWE warehouse and I'm like, I know that's off limits to the public, but I would love to I would just love to be in there. You know. I was like, I wouldn't touch anything. I would just be looking. I
I
just think
would
that
be
would be
too.
so cool.
For
You know.
sure, that would be the
Yeah.
same way. Like I would just like be so cheesed. I love like meeting like wrestlers and just
Mhm.
people that love wrestling, and that's why I started this thing. It's like, I wanted to be an intern over at for TNA for their broadcasting journalism thing,
Right.
and they never returned my email. So it's kind of like coming back full circle. But it
Oh
all worked
yeah,
out because I got my
definitely.
internship out in LA, so that works out fine. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Sweet. Oh, and I noticed that you're besides the guys and all the bands and stuff, you're friends with at my with my cousin's mother-in-law, Karen Pike.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's my cousin's mother-in-law. Karen is just so she's an amazing woman. I love her. Really sweet. Always have been every time I've seen her, she always comes up to me with a big hug and just a really nice lady generally.
awesome.
Yeah.
And how are you related again?
Yeah, she's my cousin's mother-in-law.
Oh, so who's your
Yeah.
cousin?
My cousin, her name is Shauna. Shauna Pike.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Justin is actually her son.
Oh, yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so
and
Karen has always been the nicest lady.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
like Mrs. Pike was I was her teacher aide in my senior year of high school.
Right.
And so like I would help her grade papers and everything like that, and she goes and I was so glad it helped
Mhm.
definitely lighten the load of the school.
Right.
But I promised my parents, this is a funny story that I rarely share, but like I wanted to get straight A's for my parents like
Mhm.
for an entire year for at least once in my life.
Right.
And so I took all the easy classes in my senior year just to get straight A's.
But hey, you did it. I mean,
No,
I tried for straight A's, it just never happened, but you know.
I took the easy way out, and then I sent my transcripts to like the colleges that I wanted to go to, and they're like, you know what, these classes are not cutting at the area, are not AP classes. You got straight A's and cheated. So,
I think one time I did take like it was in during when I was in college, I just needed like an easy class that I knew I would get an A in. Just because every other class I had was so hard, I just took music appreciation.
yeah,
And I got an A in that class. I mean, that class was so easy. If you didn't get an A, there was something wrong with you. you
yeah.
know? Um, I remember our final project was we had to write a report on anything that we wanted, just as long as it was music related, and it only had to be 2 pages. And I'm like, "Okay, I can go on a lot more about my favorite band, more than 2 pages." So all I did was I wrote a video on a Kiss concert video that I watched and got an A. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, really? That was the easiest class," but I was glad I took it because I had taken so many hard classes that semester. I just needed an easy one, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm
And
like
like Karen's class was the only like I like it had like the senior to sophomore program,
mhm,
and I took her class like for me like Microsoft Office, and it helped me get like college credit.
mhm,
and and that's when I fell in love with like PowerPoint presentations because I would make them
mhm.
so fancy in my college years, and like, how did you put music to this and made it all the images move and all this jazz? I was like, Karen Pike taught me that, so it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, she's an amazing lady. She's always been super nice to me and my family. We really love her.
absolutely, she's grand.
Yeah.
You brought back so many memories of my high school days. So now that you know that I went to Centennial, which
Mhm.
high school did you go to?
South.
Oh, cool.
I was a South graduate in 92.
Oh, awesome. Such a small world,
Right?
how we're connected to music and school and everything
Ex
like that.
exactly, and, I mean, you're friends with a lot of my Facebook friends, and it's just like I remember the first time I met you at Surrey Fest, I'm like, "Oh, that's the guy responsible for Surrey Fest."
Indeed.
Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm super low key in everything. Like I don't make myself known. I'm just like the quiet person, like the wallflower, and like if you
that's
know
how I
me,
am
you know
too.
me. Yeah.
That's how I am too, I'm just pretty shy in general, you know?
Indeed, and it's like my parents like raised me that way. I guess raised you
Mhm.
that way too. Like speak when you're spoken to. Like don't you don't have to be the loudest lion in the room, and you can just chill and just like.
Right.
Well, the lions don't make a lot of noises. Like they're like the most quiet one.
Mhm.
Just don't be one of the loudest animals in the jungle. So like don't
Right,
be.
exactly. And I'm never, like I said, I've been to a couple of these wrestling events. I've never been the one holding up signs or anything. I'm just the one quietly, "Yay!" You know? There's, like, so many loud people around me, I get drowned out, but I have fun.
Oh, well, that's me, the person holding the signs.
I I should make a sign one of these days, but I'm not creative. I don't know what I would put on it or.
I
Um,
think you should on the next when you go to the Raw taping, go and make yourself a sign. Like I made my sign that said "Please sign my sign," and you saw that, on
uh-huh.
Facebook, and that's
Right.
like the most clever sign ever. And they did come up to me and they signed it. So
It's like,
that's how you
"Please." Yeah.
that's how you can meet your favorite wrestlers. Is like
Right,
just say please.
that's true. I would, have to, like, get a seat up closer to the ring and stuff, and hopefully they'd see me. But it's it's just a lot of fun seeing these guys and girls that you never even thought you would have a chance of seeing, and
Mhm.
here they are right in front of you doing all these amazing moves and and funny moves and just being silly with the crowd, and it's a lot of fun, definitely,
Yeah. Speaking of
you
billing
know.
silly, I love the whole 24/7 belt concept and how silly
Yeah.
that is. Uh,
Yeah. I guess, Tamina and Tozawa and Dana Brooke and, Reggie, the married thing, and I'm like, "What?" That
yeah,
was crazy, R Truth, um, I mean, I don't think they wrestle him as much as they should, because he is a good wrestler,
absolutely. And
you
he's been
know?
around forever too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at the live event with Goldust when he was tagging, sorry, as the Golden Truth.
Uh-huh.
And he was so fun, and I'm like, "They ought to they ought to have him wrestling more," instead of I mean, it's great that he's doing the 24/7 thing, but I need to I think he needs to be more, um, presented,
Absolutely.
you know?
Indeed.
Yeah, they
I
don't use him
agree.
as much as they should,
Yeah. And they
you
have 3
know?
hours to fill too. They should do less talking and more like
Right.
fun segments and, keep
Mhm.
them drawn in and more
Yeah.
wrestling too. So
Right.
more storylines. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But I mean, 'cause he's a funny dude, but he's a good wrestler, you know?
Absolutely. The
Um,
way he moves, it reminds me of like, Rey
yeah,
Mysterio and Rob Van Dam again. It's like they can
right,
just keep going and going and going.
and he's quick. And the amazing thing is especially the big guys with how quick they are. Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin. I mean, they're just so fast in the ring and like how tall they were and how big they are. It's amazing that they can move as fast as they do. I'm like,
Indeed.
wow. And I kinda miss Nia Jax, I liked her, I thought she was a good performer, even though I they said she botched a lot of stuff too, but she was entertaining to watch.
Absolutely.
You
I
know?
agree.
Mhm.
Good stuff. And like
Yeah.
I have a little Corey Taylor video when you spoke of Slipknot. It made me think of it, and I was just like this at
Uh-huh.
at a horror convention. Like, and he goes, I said, "Hey, Mr. Taylor." He goes, "Hey, Wu Tang." He goes, I
Uh-huh.
asked him how he was doing. He goes, "You ain't nothing to f with, dude." And I'm like, "This is so cool." And to know that Corey Taylor listens to Wu Tang is just so
Mhm.
cool. Like,
Right.
and like you said, like there's a lot of rap that and country that we both can't stand, but there's
Mhm.
like Wu Tang is like probably the only thing that I can get addicted to and never get tired of them because
Right.
they speak so intelligently on the mic and they have really great beats. But
Mhm.
it is Wu Tang forever, so that's why I love them. So,
Right.
but and
Rock
they
and roll and wrestling all together.
absolutely, and they make a lot of pro wrestling references in their lyrics
Mhm.
if you go to them, and so, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely give Wu Tang a chance, but like you can forget everybody. Well, there's like I love the '90s hip hop. That's like my era.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
But
Right.
ever since then, I'm like, oh, geez, I miss the good old days. Kind of like wrestling. I miss the good old days.
Right, exactly. I was watching, I happened to be watching, watching something on TV a couple of years ago. I don't remember, it was Braun Strowman. Um, they were having a match where they had all these musical instruments around the ring and stuff, and I think it was him and Elias, and I think it was Corey Graves that says, "Wow, this is a real symphony of destruction." I'm like, did he just make a Megadeth reference? Really? That was pretty cool, you
Yeah,
know. And I'm like, did I hear that right? But
indeed.
it's fun how it's just kind of intertwined, But I
Absolutely.
really really
I,
enjoy it.
Speaking of Megadeth, I got to see like some of the members at this place called Nam out in Anaheim.
Mhm.
And my buddy Nate Baptist, that I went to CSU Pueblo together, told us that about the wrestler that was working at the bar, Otis.
Yeah.
We went to that Nam place, and Megadeth was just walking around, Alice in Chains and everything. And it was
Wow.
just like the most like there was random rock stars like Kerry King from Slayer and everything. And this is like the most insane thing. And we just like took pictures with everyone.
Right.
And it's like a big old it's like a National Association of Music Merchants, and they have one
Right.
in there and one in Nashville and one in Russia.
Mhm.
And it's just so neat just to see rock stars walking around. You can just like say, hey, can I get a picture with you?
Oh,
And
I
like my favorite
bet.
moment was dressed up like this and meeting Mike
Mhm.
Shinoda from Lincoln Park, and it was just so awesome.
I bet. I
Uh,
remember one time, several years back, my friend and I had went to see Stryper. Do you remember them, the
mhm.
Christian metal band?
Yeah.
Well, we were waiting outside the venue to get in, and I saw these three guys walking, walking down the street, and they kind of look like very official, But as I looked at one of them, I was like, "Oh my God, that's Oz Fox," And I'm like, "What? What is he doing?" He was just walking down the street, and then, like, nobody knew who he was, but I'm like, oh, "That's Oz Fox. He's in Striper. What? What's he doing?" And he was just talking to people, talking to these two guys probably about the venue, how the show was going to go down and stuff like that. But I'm like, that's pretty cool. It was like a random celebrity sighting for me. you know, yeah.
So
Hopefully,
it's
I'll get more of those with wrestlers and rock stars, and but just to
abs-
have one was cool.
yeah. You'll like the fun thing is like just to see them randomly out and
hmm
about, just doing their thing, and then like when people recognize them and when nobody else does, it's like the best for them, I guess.
Right.
Yep. Because
Exactly. I was just surprised, like, not mean, there wasn't anybody screaming, "Hey, Oz! Hey, Oz!" And I wasn't gonna do it because I'm quiet, but
yeah.
you know.
Same with like that's what happened with at Nam with members of a Perfect Circle
hmm
like Matt McJunkins and Jeff Friedel were just walking around and nobody knew who they were because like
Wow.
it's always Maynard in the front,
Right.
and or Billy Howardell or James Ehoff from Smashing Pumpkins all in the same band, but the other guys like I just said, hey, it's Matt and
Mhm.
Jeff, and they're like, oh my god, do you recognize us?
Right. Exactly. That's pretty cool. But I think, they kind of might like a little bit of the anonymity, just to allow them to walk around and enjoy things themselves too,
Oh yeah,
you
big.
know?
That's why I chose not to be famous. Like I was so close to it, and then I
hmm
saw like the fame monsters. I'm like, I don't want that in my life, and I'm just happy
Right.
being just a wallflower at my own festival. I'm
Right.
so good.
Exactly. No, and your festivals are legendary. They're good.
Oh, thank you. That's such a high
Yeah.
accomplishment because like it reminds me of Pinhead saying like your suffering will be legendary even in
hmm
hell, and so would it's like that's like one of my favorite quotes in all of the Hellraiser movies. So,
Yeah,
but
the first Surratt Fest I went to was so much fun, with and that was when I had first started working with Burns Like Hell, and it was just a lot of fun. That whole show was great.
indeed, and I love how, like,
Yeah.
everyone looks after each other, like,
hmm
when they're in the pit, they treat it like it was, like, a real pit, like, they lift each other back up and, like,
Right.
slow everything down, and it's just like, we don't need security, it's like
Yeah.
because everyone
Yeah.
takes care of each other, it's great.
Yeah. I don't like being in the pit, but because I don't like being shoved around and pushed around, but
Uh-huh.
I do like videoing it.
Yeah, same
you know,
here.
because
That's why I'm at the
because
merch table, like
right. Exactly. It's fun to see that. I remember somebody had slammed into me one time when I was trying to film Burns Like Hell, but it was like, don't make me drop my phone.
indeed.
You know.
I need to
But
put
he
like oh shit, I should put like a photo pit for you to like walk around safely and have a
right.
barricade.
Exactly. Just put me, like, in a bubble or something. But you're right, they do, and especially if you have the friends that know that you don't like to be in the pit, but they kinda do, but they'll kinda watch out for you, you
Yeah, it's
know?
great.
Yeah. I
It's
had one of the guys, one of my friends, he saw the pit coming towards me, so he just stood in front of me, and I'm like, "Thank you." You know? Yeah, I because I just don't like being shoved around. It's a weird feeling.
same here. I'm like
Yeah.
getting up in age too, and I'm like, I do not
Mhm.
want to be a part of the walls of death or nothing. You guys just go ahead, all
Right.
you young ones, just go ahead and smash against each
Exactly.
other. But
Exactly,
leave my
yeah,
old butt out of this.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't bounce up like I used to.
Yeah.
It may take me a few minutes to get back up. No, thank you.
Give me some
That's
ace
like
bandages and some aspirin.
right.
Get me out of here.
Exactly. No, I would just rather stay in the back, or off to the side, film my bands, watch the pit, but don't come near me.
Absolutely. That's why, like,
Yeah.
I just take my photos really quick, like, and then like take a picture of every member, and then the whole band shot, and then just
Mhm.
bounce out and just run merch, and then
Right.
get out.
Exactly. Exactly. That's probably what I should do too. "Hey, do you need any help running your merch table? Because I don't wanna be in the
I'll
pit."
just get a really nice zoom lens and just like shoot from there.
Exactly. So and hopefully, with these next wrestling shows, I can get like better pictures than ones I have. I was kind of
Indeed.
too far away last time, but I just know I was there and had a great time.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
for sure. So, Crystal, if you can, this part of the show is like requesting like your dream wrestlers on the show, like who you should would you like as my guest. Um,
Mhm.
and so, I
Ooh.
know it might be a challenge to get them on the show, but just as put it out in the universe, which five
Yeah.
wrestlers would you like to see on the
Oh
show?
my goodness. Who do I think would be like just like a lot of fun? Um, I'm really enjoying Matt Riddle right now. Riddle, with it, and Randy Orton, I'm enjoying them. My favorite, I also love me some Roman Reigns. You know, if you can get like also like an old school wrestlers, that would be fun, like Hulk Hogan. Who else? Undertaker, Chris Jericho. That was six, sorry. um, and even like some of the females like Mickey James, Natalia. I like the Bella Twins. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people don't like them, but I love them. They would be fun. I know they do their own podcast, and I'm just cool with any wrestler. I just like to hear their history, and it would just be wonderful. Any
Absolutely.
wrestler.
And if people don't like them as heels, then that means that they did their job.
Right,
So,
exactly.
mhm,
Exactly. That's how I used to feel about Brock Lesnar. I like his character now that he's Cowboy Brock. I don't
uh-huh.
like the other one, but I guess he's doing his job right.
Yep.
Um, or, if you can get, it would be so much fun if you got an interview with Jimmy Hart.
Oh yeah, that'd be
He,
awesome. I bet he
hmm
has stories for days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, he and Mean Gene Okerlund. I know Mean Gene's already gone, but he was one of the best too at what he did.
indeed. So
Mhm.
if you like Crystal, we'll exit the way that we entered with some Mario W chants, and I'll
Yes, sir.
absolutely go for it, Crystal.
ROW, 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 yeah, ROW, ROW.